going on, yo? It's your boy, Keep a Mic. Listen on 102.9 Tape Deck. And tonight I got well, before I introduce this young brother right here, I want to say hi to somebody in the background right here. Yeah.
Hi, it's Nellie May Live.
Nelly? What's your name again?
Nellie May Live.
Nelly May Live. How you doing?
Good.
Don't worry, I'm not going to put you in the camera. I just want to, you're going to be like the invisible voice in the background. It's kind of like Charlie's Angels. Like,
Okay.
we never see the face, but you hear the voice.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right. With that being said, once again, it's your boy, Keep a Mic. You listen to 102.9 Tape Deck. And tonight, we're going to discuss blackness, but not just only blackness, but, you know, black men and mental health. I got a young brother here with a movie right now. Phenomenal movie. I just got watching it. First and foremost, I owe you an apology because I met him last year at an event. Shout out to Alberto Rosario for setting up the event. And a big shout out to DL because he was the plug to introducing me to this young man. And we always had conversations, but on my end, I didn't do my part because I had 100 things going on. So I apologize, young man.
You're good, brother.
My fault in that department. But he came out with this movie. It was a phenomenal movie. It hit certain parts. I'm going to try not to say a lot, but say a lot at the same time. He's an up-and-coming director. I just found out he had a couple of projects that I didn't even know about, so I'd like to discuss that also. And he got a lot going on, man. Black men, take care of your mental health because, you know, once we step out of that building, you know, the world don't really care about us, man, so hold tight to that. With that being said, I got the homie Giovanni Lazare in the building. What's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing, man?
The one question I always ask everybody here, how was the traffic?
Oh my gosh. I was coming from Foxborough too. I just came back from a graduation, just sitting in the sun.
Yeah.
And then just being in that traffic, it didn't help.
Yeah,
It didn't help at all.
Massachusetts traffic. There's nothing like it.
Nothing like it.
So this is gonna be dope, man, because not only do you got this movie that's out at this moment.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a chance to know you, man, because outside the movie, I never got a chance to politic, man. So I want to know, who is Giovanni? What you about, young man? What we got out here?
Man, who's Giovanni? That's such a loaded question.
We here for it. We got time. Don't worry.
Such a loaded
Take
question.
your time. We out here.
All right, I appreciate that. Well, I mean, I was born in Haiti. I was born in Haiti. You know, so shout out to all the Haitians that listen.
Sac passe.
Sac passe. You know, I came here in 2003.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't know a lick of English. I learned how to speak English from PBS Kids, and so that was always good. That was interesting. You know, I was always an artist, always a painter. You know, I drew a lot when I was younger too, and so you know, it's fitting that I'm in the film industry. You know what I mean? I dabbled in with dentistry for a little bit, and I was stressed out in college. I was like, yo, that's not for me. You know, I spoke to my pastor, and he was like, you know, you should try working with some cameras. And I was like, bet. I immediately jumped on it, and you know, that's just how the story started. You know, that's just how the story started. You know, I'm a believer in God, and I'm a storyteller, and I'm just trying my best to help out.
Cool. So what got you into the passion into being a director and playing with the camera?
Honestly, so again, it goes back to that conversation I had with my pastor, but deeply even before that, you know, I always had like ideas and stories that just came to mind, right? I always had ideas and stories that came to mind. So the ideas, you know, I thought that I would have to like jot them down and just write a book out of them.
Mm-hmm.
I could never finish writing a book. I could never finish like completing a book, and so that was always like weird to me, you know. But then, you know, when I kind of got that push to like jump into like filmmaking, you know, working with the cameras, I dove into it. And that's where those stories that I would have, you know, that's where it started making sense that, this is where I need to be. Like, I need to be making movies, you know what I mean? I had a movie called Chasm that came to my mind. It's actually a story on domestic violence and stuff like that. It's an open-ended story. I didn't really, you know, I left the ending of the story for interpretation to the audience. But I was a producer on that movie because I didn't know how to work with the cameras. I didn't know how to work with anything. So I just got the crew together. And then while I was working on it, I realized I hated being a producer. Like I'm okay. Like I'm good at it, right? I'm good at it. But I felt like I was too far from the story, even though I was the one that put everyone together and it's my story. But I felt like I was too far from it. Like I needed to be like hands-on in the storytelling. aspect of it. And so, the next step was becoming a director.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, let me do it, and I was just good at it. It just became, it just was revealed to me that I'm just really good at being a director.
Yeah.
Not to say I wouldn't do anything else on the film set, but it just it's where I fit in.
Bad. I'm a hip hop head, and every time I have artists on the show, the one thing I always ask them, like, who was the artist that inspired you, or what was like the first song that you heard, and you were like, what was the joint that you heard that you said, I want to take this serious and take this music thing as a serious craft. So with that being said, was there like a movie in particular that you saw, or a director that you saw on TV that said like, yo, this is pretty inspiring, and this is what I want to like be able to do as a career and take it seriously? Was it like any movies or a director that you saw?
Interesting enough, there isn't a movie that was like, oh, that made me want to do it. Like I said, like I really believe that this is a gift that God gave me. Like this is a gift from God, and so like it just became natural to me that I'm good at telling stories.
Yeah.
But then in doing that, like in watching movies, there are directors and there are like artists in the industry that I really appreciate, and there are two people in particular that I really want to work with. And one of them just came out with a movie recently. What's his name? Ryan Coogler. Yeah. I don't know if you saw Sinners.
I have yet to see Sinners, man.
Oh my
I gotta
gosh.
watch this quick.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm out. I'm not with the cool kids, man, because I know the movie's been phenomenal from everybody's told me, and I just haven't. I probably have to catch a solo tip on that.
Listen, you need to.
Yeah, I need that in my life.
You need to, because in terms of like a storyteller, Coogler knows how to do it.
Yeah.
And he also puts a lot of himself in his movies too, in the way that he does it. You can tell as a director, he does a lot of research, and he's not just making a movie for no reason. Even if it's a comic book story, like the culture that he's doing the movie on, you'll see it and you'll feel it. Like, you'll get it. And so with Sinners, there was a lot of like, you saw some Compton in there.
Yeah.
Right? He's from there. So you saw some of that in there. And his story, I could relate to it because Fruitvale Station, he did that. I believe he was still in college when he did.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot he did Fruitvale. Yes.
And I think Forrest Whitaker, he did it through Forrest Whitaker's studio. And so in my mind, I'm like, yo, if he can do it, I can do it. Like that's the blueprint. Like that's a blueprint right there. Like I already have the gift. I just need the right people. And he did that. And he made a powerful story. Oh my gosh, man. And so I'm like, there's that. And then, so I'd love to work with him and in the industry. And the other person I'd love to work with is Denzel Washington.
Well, we aiming big here. We aiming big. I like that.
Listen,
I like that.
I think the thing with him is that like everything that he touches, he makes it great, right?
Yeah.
He
don't miss.
He doesn't miss.
He don't miss.
He doesn't miss. But what caught my attention with Denzel is that you don't really see him in the limelight like that.
No, he tried to be as private as possible.
As private as possible.
Private.
And I love that because he knows how to maintain himself in the industry. Like he's not out there, like you don't really hear some crazy news about Denzel.
No.
Like, the most recent, outside of like film work that you heard about him was that he became a pastor. Like he became
Look at that.
Yeah. Like,
after all that, he found Christ.
Yeah.
It probably had it. He just became born again. Let me get right with the Lord again. So
I've heard some of his speeches, so it sounded like he had it already. But I just think he's just like, you know what, let me actually just step in and actually just become a minister, and that's like the most outside of the film industry thing that you hear from him. And I'm like, when I become successful in this, I would like to be as successful as Ryan Coogler in the sense of a storyteller. But I would also like to carry myself the same way that Denzel carries himself.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
He's really good at it.
Yeah.
But like, he's not out there like that.
Not out there like that. Yeah. I actually got a funny Denzel story.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Talk to me.
I was working I was doing Uber, and I picked the lady up.
Yeah.
And she gets into my car, and I think that was during the time he was filming Equalizer here in Boston.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, "You won't believe it. Denzel Washington was at the restaurant, and I just like sat 2 tables away from him."
Whoa.
And I didn't want to be a groupie or whatever, but I just saw him and I just did this, and he like waved right back, and then he decided to talk to like the people that was there.
Yeah.
Very nice, whatever the case may be. And then as I was driving at the red light, he was right there at the red light.
You saw him?
And I'm like, I think that's Denzel Washington.
Dang.
And I'm trying to go, because he was driving a Benz, but it was mad tinted.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, that's his car right there. And I'm like, and he's like, Cause I was like, he was trying to get out like the parking spot or whatever,
yeah.
and I was like trying to like get away from him.
Yeah.
But I was kind of blocking his view.
Yo.
So he like
Move.
Yeah, you're blocking my view, son. I'm like, oh, sorry.
You don't know you're trying to get his attention.
Yeah. So I'm trying to pretend that he's not there, but I obviously see him.
Yeah.
And this whole thing, like, kid, you're blocking my view. Get me out the way. And that's my Denzel Washington story.
Oh man, you're better than me. I would have gotten out the car like, sir, like reach out my whole hand like a weirdo, man.
Yeah, man.
Yo.
So I was doing we was, doing the thing behind the scenes right here, and I thought this project, Escaping
The Stigma.
the Stigma was your first film, but it wasn't. It was your fifth, you said?
Yeah, I've done a lot of like little short films at school.
So what was the first project you did?
The first project I did was the one that I produced. It was Chasm.
Chasm?
Yeah, and
What was the topic of that?
so it's domestic violence.
Oh, that was the domestic
Yeah.
violence. Okay.
So at first it was the idea was like it was this girl that was running away from like her dad who was being abusive to her and stuff like that. And she was like standing at a chasm, and I don't know if you know, like the chasm basically is like a large opening, right? And like whatever the opening is, it's called a chasm, and she's staring at like this water at the bottom, and this whole idea is she gonna jump or not? And we don't know that. Like we just see her running through the forest, and then she stops at the chasm, and we see this bruise that she has on, from her body. And then like towards the production, I realized that I couldn't get like an adult to kind of come in and like be that father, so I turned it into like domestic violence, right? And I can't take full credit for that. Some of the people from the production came up with the idea, and I was like, all right, that's fine. We could. It's the theme is still gonna be there, right?
Yeah.
And so basically she's staring at this chasm and stuff like that, and we jump into the reason why she went there, and we saw the story behind it, and then we go back to the chasm, and she's just not there, and I just ended the story like that.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, did she jump or not?
Yeah,
It's really up to-
You leave it to the audience to draw your own conclusion.
Draw your own conclusion.
That was all. Bad. Where can I catch? I would like to catch that film. Where
You can watch that. It's called Chasm. It's we turned it into the camp, like we turned it over to the campus. I think it's called the Campus Film Festival or something like that. It was a film festival that was happening in school. We did it for that. So if you do Chasm, CHASM on YouTube, you should be able to see that.
Bad. I'll definitely check that out. It's very interesting because we're living in interesting times because with the whole P. Diddy thing that's been going on.
Yeah, man.
And, I've been keeping in track of what's been going on with that case and the things he did to Cassie. Jesus, this guy's beyond a monster. That dude's a maniac.
Dude, I haven't caught up all the way with everything yet because I heard she got interviewed yesterday, right?
She's been taking the stance for the last 2 or 3 days.
Really?
Yeah, so they've been. Yeah, and like all the records been coming up, all the things he did to her. That dude was just and the video that came out last year when he hit her in the hotel, whatever.
Yeah.
They showed the whole 20-minute video.
The whole thing.
Yeah, the whole thing,
Oh,
how
God.
it went down, everything. Yo, my dude was bugging.
Yo, I hear that.
Bugging.
I hear that they're trying to actually release the freak off tapes.
That might come up in the next. I mean, they said this case might take like 8 to 10 weeks, so we're just getting started. We're like in the first week. We just warming up. We just warming up in that department.
Yeah, man.
So it's interesting that we're living in these times, man.
Yeah.
So let's get into this film that you just completed. First of all, congratulations. I believe that the film made it to the Roxbury
Film Festival.
Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. You.
Much success. Escaping the Stigma. Why you took it there? Why you took it there when Black Men's Health? What inspired you to do that?
All right. So the school had an opportunity to do an undergraduate research.
Yeah.
And as a filmmaker, I'm like, listen, I don't like researching. I don't like sitting.
Well, I hate, I only like researching when I want to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah, when it makes it fun.
Yeah.
Like last week, I had to do a search on this lady that did a memoir, so I actually have to do some. And it's a weird thing because I actually know her, so the fact that I have to do a speech or somebody that I personally knew kind of pissed me off because you could have just told me.
Yeah.
I found out this girl been on TV a bunch of times.
Yeah.
She did Montel Williams last week, and I'm like, I have to compete with Montel Williams. Are you freaking killing me?
Oh man.
But go ahead.
No, you're good. Escaping the Stigma. So basically, it was I had to do this undergraduate research. Well, I wanted to do it, and then I was like, hey, I'm a filmmaker. Can I make a movie? And they're like, yeah. Like, go ahead, make a movie. I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. And so I had no idea what I was gonna make, right? And at that point, I was still like a narrative filmmaker, which is like, you know, like the regular movies you see on TV. So it's narrative.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you know what? I don't know. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? So as I was walking towards the studio one day, this idea came to my mind to do a movie on mental health. And I'm like, I bet. All right, okay, I'll do it. I'll do mental health. And then I started doing a little bit of research into it. And I was listening to some TED Talks, listening to some other people talking and stuff like that. And I ended up finding, you know, like I found a lot of Black men, and they were saying something that kind of stuck out with every video. What they were saying was that Black men, whatever it is that they're dealing with, they don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? So like, and I'm sitting, I'm like, yeah, that's real. That's true. And so because I saw that similarity in all these, you know, different videos, I was like, why? And I was like, that's the movie. Yeah. Why? I want to answer why. Why don't we talk about, you know, mental health and stuff like that? And the idea was like, yo, you know, like, let me reach out to some Black people that I know, like Black men that I know. So I'm like, hey, I want to make a movie on mental health and stuff like that. And like, and I want to answer the question, why don't Black men talk about their mental health issues? And mind you, I still did not know how to make a documentary at that point. And then, but I was following this dude on YouTube. His name is Mark Bone, and he runs the Art of Documentary, and he does, you know, like cinema verite, which is like really a lot of like the camera following people around, and like, so I bit off a little bit of that, and I knew I was going to do something similar to it. So when I reached out to my friends and I was telling them that, some of them like said, okay, yeah, I'll talk to you. And I'm realizing, like, as I'm doing this, as I'm recording these guys, as I'm interviewing them, I'm realizing that they're just opening up and sharing. So the film that you saw is like 16 minutes long, but the original video was like 25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You have an extended version that hopefully...
Well, it was originally 25. So yes, there is an extended version that
please,
exists
do a bonus for the love of God. The streets need that.
Yeah. I'll look into it.
Yeah, man. Got to give us a bonus, man, or a sequel, man, because those 15 minutes that you gave was, dude.
I appreciate that.
Dude.
Yeah, I really do. I really do. And each interview was like over an hour long.
Yeah.
So it was a lot to really cut through.
Yeah.
And as I was just sitting there, I'm realizing, I'm asking, why don't Black men talk about these things? And I'm realizing that these Black men are talking to me about these things.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, yo, is there not, like, what was going on? And so it was just powerful because what I was looking to, you know, kind of like the answer I was looking for, I found it in making the documentary, right? I found that it's easier for brothers to talk with each other because we understand each other, right? It's easy for men to talk to men, right? Because we understand what it's like to be a man.
Yeah.
Now, when you add 400 years of slavery, when you add, like, I'm from Haiti, you know, my people, you know, like, delivered themselves from slavery, right?
Yeah.
You add all of these things.
I was the first. I was the first to escape.
Well, yeah, but slavery still existed there.
Yeah.
So there's a commonality there, not just in our Black skin, but there's a commonality there. And I realized that, like, it was easy for them to talk to me because I looked like them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And they shared the story. And so that's kind of like, you know, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question.
You answered it. No, you got it. You got me. You got it, man. You know, I got you know, I want you to when you get a chance to go look at the BNM website. I had a brother here that I work with.
Yeah.
Name is Michael. He actually has this program for Black and brown men. Well, it became Black and brown, but then, you know, other men started coming through because you know, men in general they're going through something.
Yeah.
But he got this thing called Brothers in Arms.
Yeah.
And every Monday they just get together and just talk about all the things that men are going through. It's like, it's not a therapy section, but it feels like therapy.
Yeah.
I mean, he always recommend like a therapist to go to if you're going to like some real issues or whatever the case may be. Did you feel like you were some kind of therapist when you was dealing with these guys?
Yeah, I did. And it's interesting because I realized that it's not, you know, therapy is very important for men and what we're going through. And I think that, like, if you need to talk to somebody, right? And if you're going to talk to a therapist, if you go talk to that therapist, because you're going to get that help.
Yeah.
But I also realized that you just need an outlet.
Yeah.
right? There's the barbershops. The barbershops exist.
That's the hood therapy.
Yeah.
Yo, I think my barber knows everything about my life.
Yo.
I've been rocking with my barber for damn near 30 years. He knows my life.
Yeah, right?
He knows my life more than I think my mom right now.
There you go. You got the barber. You got the barbers. You have other Black men groups as well. You have your pastor. I don't know if you go to church and stuff like that. You have
Oh, your day ones?
Yeah, your day ones, right?
Yeah.
There are people out there, and I'm realizing that the whole thing is you gotta just talk.
Yeah.
And so yes, did I feel like a therapist in that moment? Yeah. But also too, like, I'm not a therapist.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking to me.
You gotta show the lead or whatever. They can hear you out for that 1 hour, man.
Yeah.
And it's crazy too, because my brother, my best friend, he was the first one that took therapy within our circle.
Yeah.
But I always went to him when I was going through whatever. And it wasn't to my ex-wife after I told her my life story. It's like, you need help. You need to go talk to somebody. But before that, my homeboy was on taking the help or whatever. So I'm like, yo, I got you. You never fail me when it comes to advice. And because I'm whatever, I'm your homeboy, I'm supposed to, but you need something professional. You need something that's not me.
Yeah.
And even with me, there will be certain things that I will tell you, but I'm also gonna shield you because there's a time and a place where I could keep it too real.
Yeah.
And it can't come from me. It might come out of hurt or whatever. You know how to take it. You need to go to somebody that's not biased.
Yeah.
That could analyze your head.
Yeah.
To figure this thing out. One of the things that it's so crazy because your movie's so short, so I don't want to give out a lot to us a film, but there's certain things that's pointing out.
There you go.
So 2 things that point out to me was the dynamic of homeboy and his kid. And he talked about this perception that Black men are supposed to have, that we gotta be macho 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
You can't do this, you can't do that. Walk it off, don't cry. And as Black men, you have to deal with that kind of things. And the first thing that came to my mind, there's this video of Tupac.
Okay.
And I recommend you watch it because he was 16 or 17 years old.
Okay.
And the running stigma they had about Tupac in that particular video that he was gay because of his mannerism and his gestures. He looked sassy. He was he was gay the whole time. And it's so bugged out because if you hear the whole video, he's 16, 17 years old. And the way his mind was so far from the norm, he talked about the corruption from the government, how the school system stinks. He talked about women, how he actually likes women, but he doesn't know how to approach them.
Yeah.
Because his mom taught him one thing, but then he goes to the streets, they get another reaction. It was yo, I treat women with respect, and I see dudes with this much of respect, and they get the girl.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm Mr. Give me send you some flowers, and forget it, I'm too nice, I'm too this and the third. And it's and then he's smiling a lot because he still had that innocence.
Yeah.
And you see people making fun of him look, he's smiling. Why he's smiling? Man, Black men supposed to be smiling like that. Why he look so damn happy?
Brother.
And it's that perception. We got to be hard 24 hours. Even rappers, rappers can't smile all the time, We got this weird perception. So that part really stuck out on me when the man talked about that. And again, a lot I don't want to say because I don't want to spoil it, but your homeboy, I think that was the experience that he talked. That you don't want to. Again, I want to say it, but he got in a situation that the law almost got him in trouble because of homegirl.
Yeah, let me tell you, the extended version of it. The extended version of it had a little bit more into it.
Yeah,
right. Because he was actually she actually went to jail. she actually went to jail because of what happened.
Yeah.
So.
And it gave me a weird freeze thing because I remember being young and the next town that I used to live at, I hate going to that town because it's predominantly white. And I always got stopped by the cops if I went to the wrong section or if it was a group of us, it was more than 6 of us. Yeah. And we just we used to go there because they used to have the basketball court that they had. It was up to date and it was shaped. So we used to go to play basketball. And anytime we left out of that court, it was just we got stopped.
Yo.
So, and this was back in the 90s.
Yo.
So it was just a mind thing kind of thing. And it was times that I used to go to certain place, I fit the description, or it was wrong for a long time. And it was and I remember there was times I used to get pulled over. A couple of times I got pulled over with my ex-wife, and I used to get this nervousness. I was shaking. Yeah. And my ex yo, why you shaking? But she didn't know that kind of culture because she she wasn't from here. And, I told her, and then it wasn't until like her daughter told me, look, this is what he has to go through when like the cops pull the whole case with me. And she's like, oh crap,
Yeah.
it's real out here. So that thing kind of like stuck out.
Man, I'm sorry you went through that, brother.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Over the years, I say cops have been friendly over the years for the past, because I had no patience for authority when I was a teenager. But as I got older, they've been cooperating. So I'm not gonna give them that much flack. I've been in a good luck streak.
Yeah.
But it's still that one thing that you never know if I could catch the cop in a bad mood, and I might be the lucky victim that he just want to screw with because he had a bad day or at work or his wife gave him hard, and I'm gonna be the punching bag.
Yeah.
You still go through that kind of thing.
It's so weird because, in my experience with them is not the same experience as most black men, right? I'll never forget this one time I was it was this cop. I was clearly, I was clearly in the wrong. I had my phone up. I was playing like Mario Kart. I was driving, bro. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And, God forgive me. But so it was two cops. They stopped me. One of them asked me like, hey, where you going? Like, I can clearly see you had your phone up and you have both headphones in.
Multitasking like a mug, huh?
I was multitasking, brother. And it's not good. But he basically was like, where you going? I'm like, I'm going to school. And then he was like, oh, what are you studying? I'm like, I'm a filmmaker. He was like, okay. And then he let me go with the warning.
Yeah.
But then his partner actually he knelt down, at the passenger side window, and he was talking to me.
Yeah.
And he said something. He was like, we're living in a day where it's so sad that like you'll never hear or see that a cop was talking to a black kid.
Yeah.
You'll never see
You never
that.
see it.
You'll never see it. And I'm like, it's powerful that happened to me. But like if I tell that to my community, how are they gonna receive that?
It's interesting.
It's interesting.
The relationship with us and the cops is very complicated at best.
Yeah.
Very, very complicated. It's like we're not a fan of y'all, but I guess sometimes we kind of sort of need y'all.
Yeah.
So
it's bad. But then when you with the situation that was it during COVID, my gosh, I feel bad for even forgetting his name, but
Floyd?
Yeah.
George Floyd?
The George Floyd situation. And when you see something like that, you can understand why we as a community, we don't want to be around that.
Yeah.
Because like, brother, like what are you doing? Like why is your knee on his neck?
Yeah.
And the man is saying, I can't breathe. Like, do you have like no compassion and nothing in you to say, hey, let me take my knee off? Like let me just put.
Yeah, for 8 freaking minutes. So
let me just cuff him and pick him up.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, when I see things like that as a filmmaker, when God gave me my gift, I'm like, can I help my community in that way?
Yeah.
Even though my experience with the ones that I've experienced with are different, but two things can be true. It's still very much true that a lot of cops they have a hard time with black men.
Yeah.
It's very like I remember it was during COVID. I saw a video, and it was a cop that stopped a couple. And the husband was in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
And whatever happened, the cop ended off like basically just loading his gun at that man's chest in front of his wife. And the wife was recording the whole thing. Yeah. The cop literally killed the man in front of his wife. He literally emptied the clip on him. And like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like we see us as a people, we stand up and we cry out against things like that.
Yeah.
But then like there's a power in storytelling to say, you know what? You have to see this. Like you have to understand what we're going through.
Yeah. I mean, shoot. Fruitvale Station. Perfect example.
Perfect example.
Yeah, I think I only seen that movie twice and I couldn't see it anymore.
Yeah.
Because that was just too close to home. It was too close to home, and that could have been any one of us.
Yeah.
So that's why, great movie, but it's just,
it could have.
It's rough.
And it's crazy. I was rooting for Michael B. Jordan's character. I was rooting for him.
Yeah.
I really wanted him to win. And I didn't know the story of Fruitvale Station until I saw the movie. And I'm like, I really wanted him to win because everything was happening for him to win.
Yeah.
But then you see that the outside circumstances happened to him.
Yeah, man.
You know, I mean, I'm sorry for it.
No, don't worry. That's what we're here for. And I've been, it's been an interesting week because the lady I had last week, she talked about, seeking help, and it became a pattern. She was a lady that she left Cuba, moved to New Hampshire. And when she moved to New Hampshire, she still left with trauma on how she left the island. And it was so crazy because it was like just like everybody in the Black and brown community, we don't go to therapy. You know, it's like mommy's the therapist.
Yeah.
Mommy's the therapist, or they're not even that because they don't believe it. Mommy. If you're dealing with mom's the therapist, or the girl, whoever you're rocking with, and like I always went to her for her problems. And then once she found the professional help that she needed, she's like, oh my God, I've been going through a lot. I just suppressed it.
Yeah.
Suppress it. And that's what I went through also with my dilemma, which it took me forever to, shout out to my ex-wife, but she actually was the one to say, yo, go get this help because you need it. Yeah. And there was a lot of things that I was, had to reflect on, through my childhood, things with my parents, things in the streets, society. Yeah. And it was like, it was very well needed, between that and just finding other help, like the program I go to with Michael, to just like, vent it out to whatever the situation was, because now physically I wasn't doing good either. I was like shaking, and I found out why I was shaking and why I was like, my asthma was getting worse is because I had all these animosities that I was just holding in, and decided, yo, I'm gonna talk this thing out.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you, sir.
That's a big step to take.
Thank you. Speaking of which, man, let me put some music, man. I don't want to make it too gloomy, man.
Yeah.
Let me put some joints out here, man. Yeah. Check it out. It's your boy, Cuban Mike. You listen to 102.9 Tape Deck. I'm rocking here with Giovanni, and we're going to rock it out here with Easy Money and Chilla Jones mental health check, y'all. Let's rock it out. Yeah, man. That was Stay On My G by Rocker Fresh. Prior to that was a homie Rex with Roses. This your boy, Keep It Mike. You listen on 102.9 Tape Deck. Got the homie Giovanni in the building. What up?
What's going on?
Going on? Hey, Dinah, how you doing?
Hi, how you doing? Nelly May Live.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Are you enjoying yourself? You're not?
Yes, I am.
Bet.
I'm enjoying myself. Thank you.
You want to participate? Not yet?
Sure,
You want to ask a quick question to
Absolutely.
the brother Giovanni real quick?
Sure.
Come in. Don't be shy. Come here. Come welcome to the Tape Deck. Introduce yourself to the audience. Who you hanging with?
Okay, who am I hanging with? Giovanni.
Come. We're making a debut here.
Okay.
Real quick.
You're great. Okay. Well, how you all doing out there?
Yeah.
This is Nelly May Live in the building.
Nelly.
All right. So I want to ask you a question, Giovanni. How long did it take you before you became a filmmaker, like to make your first?
How long did it take me? That's a good question. It didn't take me that long. It really didn't. So as soon as I decided to become a filmmaker, the very next day I went to school and I changed my major immediately. And so like the next semester, I think it was only a couple months away. But I immediately started like connecting with people from, the film department, and right away, and I jumped into the Filmmaker Society, which is a group of, kids coming up, kids or students coming up together and just making movies. And I pitched it like within like the month that I met up with them. Honestly, I don't even think I was taking film classes yet. So that's when I made Chasm. Chasm. I think we made Chasm. I pitched it in a month, and I think we made it like 3 months later. So yeah, maybe like 3 or 4 months since I decided to be a filmmaker. That's when I made my first film.
Bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Outside of the movie director thing, do you do like other projects? Because last time I saw you, we were at the Urban Heat party. Shout out to Urban Heat. I see right here that we had a connection with Urban Heat. Everybody from Marv, Jonathan, Ray Rael, Therapist, Remy.
Yeah.
Shout out to the whole squad there, man.
Diane Vivian.
Yeah.
Danger. Yeah.
Everybody out there,
Everybody
man.
out there.
Everybody out there, man.
Shout out. Yeah. So I also do event videography, and I also do some photography as well. Mm-hmm. I'm really in this camera world. And also too, if anyone wants a short film for them, or like a portrait video, or like a short documentary on them, since I know how to do it, I offer that as a service as well. So yeah, that's it, man. I do this.
Yeah, I bet. You gave me an idea. We'll have to talk later on. I have an idea for you that maybe you could try to help me out with.
All right, brother. That sounds good.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I want to get back to the movie, because again, I'm trying not to say a lot, but to say a lot. What was one of the biggest challenges you had to deal with making that film?
One of the biggest challenges I had to, oh yeah, so I had to face my own mental health. Yeah,
Want to talk about it for a quick second?
I'll talk about it for a little bit.
All right.
Yeah, I had to face my own mental health, and because it just felt interesting. Because I'm talking to these guys about what they're going through, and they're telling me about what they're going through, and I'm meeting with my mentor, once a week, like to talk about this movie as I'm working on it. I couldn't help myself but to think back in my own childhood and in my own trauma and the stigmas that I'm trying to escape.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. In my relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I was sent up here, I came to the United States in 2003. I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
But it was my mother sacrificed not seeing me grow up in order for me to become, a good man.
Yeah.
Right. And for me and my dad to have our relationship. So the first 9 years of my life, my dad wasn't in the first 9 years. So I had my mother and I had, my stepdad, and he, yeah, there were some things there that needed to be unpacked. You know what I'm saying? I saw some very hard things with between him and my mother and him and me. I saw some very difficult things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then being up here in America, kind of being away from my mother and stuff like that, and always wanting, like I'm like, it's so weird to say, right? Because I have a stepmom now, and I love her with all my heart. You know what I mean? But there was also like a disconnect there, right? Because like she had kids with my dad, and you can't deny the 100% that the kids that she has is 100% hers and 100% their dad's.
Yeah.
But I was only 50% of the family because I wasn't her kid.
Yeah.
Right. So there was that, there was you can kind of see. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I've forgiven, everything, I've kind of moved on from certain things. So that's why I'm not trying to go into the details of it because I let it go.
Let it go.
Right. But those times that you can see that you're not the same. Like you're not the same.
You're not the same.
You're not the same. And there are times when you kind of had to do things because you had to do things, right? You can see that maybe there preferences here and there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not to bash anybody. Like
Of course not.
I understand when a mother feels like she needs to take care of her own. I get that. Like I understand that. You know what I mean? But being a stepson, it's a tough one.
Yeah, trust me. I had a stepdaughter, so me trying to like take on that role, which I wasn't really trying to be a replacement, but you have to step on that role when you're dealing with somebody with a kid. So you have to take the whole package deal. You have to take it all.
You have to.
So I get it 100%. What are you hoping people get out of it watching your movie?
What I'm hoping that people get out of it, I want them to feel empowered to go and actually have a conversation with someone about what they're going through.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want anyone to feel like they need to harbor that for themselves. Because let me tell you something, like you're carrying the weight of the world as a man already. Right? And being a black man, you're carrying the weight of the world and what your history, what you went through as a black man, and the history that people are trying to erase.
Yeah.
You have to hold on to that history because if you let other people have their way with it, there it goes. It's gone.
And it's gone.
It's gone.
It's
Right?
disappeared.
I learned about the Tulsa fires. I learned about that. Right? But before that, I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Someone had to talk to me about that. And as men, we carry, being the head of the household. We carry being the husband. We carry being the fathers. We carry being, the caretakers. We carry being the providers. We carry, oh, daddy, someone's bullying me at work. Then you're like, yo, I gotta do something about this. And now you add that you're black. Now it's like, daddy, someone's bullying me at work. Now you're like, should I do something about this? No, I need to do something about this, but I might go to jail. But I got to do it because that's my kid.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a different thought process in that. Because the thought process in that is, if I do something about it, then I'm just going to fit the stigma that's already being painted about me. I'm an angry black man.
And that's the one thing that we all try to get away from. We don't want to be the angry black men.
We don't want that.
We don't want to. We don't want to. We don't want to do that anymore.
We
So
don't want that. I want black men to feel encouraged enough to feel encouraged enough to say, you know what, I'm going to escape the stigma.
yeah,
All those labels that you're putting on me, I'm escaping those labels because you put them on me. That's not who I am.
yeah,
I am going to talk about these things because it's important for me to deal with them because my family relies on me, right? My daughter, my son, my wife, you know, my dad, my mom, you know, they're looking at me, right? I have people that I need to take care of, so I need to take care of what's going on in here.
yes.
So I'm going to escape the stigma because if I don't, then I can't be the best version of myself for you.
And you know what's dope about this new era of black men? I think more than ever we seeking help because I know our dad generation didn't get it, our grandparents didn't get it, and I think more than ever we got. You know, we're having a deeper conversation. You know, we got things such as your film. Like I said, I got my brothers up in Lawrence with the Brothers in Arms. Shout out to Michael.
Yeah.
More than ever, we're talking about this, and we're all, you know, we're taking baby steps, but we're getting there.
But we are.
We're getting there, man. And you know, I appreciate people like again my squad there in Lawrence, people such as yourself. I thank you for that part of the service of telling black men their stories. So 100 thank yous. We need something like this.
Amen.
And we got a chance to tell the story, man. Before we get out of here, man, any final words?
Any final words?
Any outside of this, any final words? Any any projects you're working on?
So I am working on the project.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into.
Don't get into detail.
I'm not going to get into details about it, but in making Escaping the Stigma, I had this idea to make it a documentary and also kind of put a narrative film into it. But that was going to take a long time to do. And so I'm still going to make the narrative piece. And that narrative piece actually tackles generational trauma within the black male community, but like specifically black men. And I intend to tackle that because, I feel like we don't really pay attention to the way that our trauma affects the next generation.
Yeah.
And it's important for me to talk about that because I'm getting married at the end of the year, by the way.
Hey, black man getting married.
Yeah. Thank you. And I intend to start a family with my wife and stuff like that. And one of the things that I don't want for my son to have is my trauma.
Yeah.
I don't want my son to be affected by what I went through. Right? I don't want them, I don't want him to be like, I don't want him to not know what happened, but I don't want him to not be affected. I want him to not be affected by it. I want him to know and understand what it is. But you're not going to feel the pressure that I felt.
Yeah.
And it was important for me to make that story because, you have fathers that have gone through, like the whole.
They went through a lot, whatever the case may be.
But more specifically, like, I was just doing research on this. I was doing research on welfare. Weirdest, I was doing research on welfare because I felt like I needed one of my characters to have a deeper backstory, and I learned about this thing called man in the house.
Yeah.
And the rule of man in the house is apparently, if there's a man in the house, then you're not going to get that government help.
Yeah.
And the way that attacks the family, especially the black family, is that now you have these women that are like, hey, I need to support my family. And you have these families making difficult decisions because black men weren't getting the jobs that white men were getting. They weren't getting paid the way that white men were getting paid. And so they're coming up with these, difficult decisions to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this in order for you to get the help because our kids need food. And so again, that might be somebody's story, right? That's just me coming up with a concept, like for a film or whatever. And so I learned about that, and I'm like, you know what? Someone dealt with that, and if that person didn't deal with it the right way, then the next generation is gonna be dealing with it.
Yeah.
Somewhere, someone has to break that.
Yeah. That was breaking the generational curse.
Exactly. And that's what my next film is about. We need to break the generational curses, especially in the black community.
Bad. That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that magic come to work.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Once again, thank you for your service with this film.
Appreciate that.
This episode, I say, was long overdue. So again, I apologize for not making this happen, but thank you for coming through.
Yeah.
Whatever you need, you got an open door to Tape Deck.
Yeah.
So I would love to have you again.
Appreciate that.
We'll make this happen.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
man, that is what it is, man. It's your boy, Keep It Mike. You've been listening to 102.9 Tape Deck. Giovanni, thank you, man.
Yes.
You can catch me every Friday from 6 to 7. Hi, Nelly. How are you?
Hi.
Did you enjoy yourself?
Yes, I did. I enjoyed myself. Thank
Hopefully, I can have you in an interview sometime soon
Absolutely.
and make things happen.
Make it happen.
See, I was trying to keep it like invincible, but I just couldn't help it, so I had to bring you just for a good second and just participate. So I hope I didn't put you on the spot there. And
No,
All right.
thank you for it.
all right, bet, yo. So again, it's your boy, Keep It Mike. You've been listening to the Tape Deck 102.9. You can catch me here every Friday from 6 to 7. I'll catch y'all next time. Same Tape Deck time, same Tape Deck channel. I am out of here. Peace.